lunch hour.
Alright, so this is the first time I've ever recorded on Riverside. It's a new, excuse me, it's a new kind of software thing. Let's see if it works though. Last time it wasn't really working, but we will realize it as we are moving on. Anyways, hey everybody, what's going on? I know it's been a while. I apologize for that. Like I've said before, I am a college student, so I'm in the process of finishing up my junior year of school. Getting on that home stretch. Close my door real quick. Okay, so so it's been about 3 weeks since I have last done a podcast, and I haven't really done like a personal one in a while. Been doing a lot of these fight shows, these sports shows, and I haven't had a guest on in a while. But I decided to do kind of like a solo internal episode today. It's just me. I'm in my room. I have a few things written down that I just wanted to talk about, and then I went on my Instagram and told people to leave suggestions on things to talk about. So as those are coming in, I'll start looking at those. But yeah, so I'm getting close to the end of my junior year of college, which has been a pretty interesting year, to say the least. I live in Hattiesburg, Mississippi right now. I go to school at the University of Southern Mississippi, but I'm going to be transferring again back to Ole Miss. I was at Ole Miss all last year, and now I'll be going back, so I'm excited about that. But yeah, that's why I really haven't been been doing much content these last couple weeks, just because of the workload with school is starting to increase, and I got finals coming up. I took one today. Today is Tuesday the 9th, so this will probably be out Wednesday or Thursday, so I would already be done with school by then. But I took one final this morning, and I've been really thinking about uploading content for a while now. I just bought a new audio interface that can hold up to 4 microphones, so hopefully in the near future I will have more guests on at a time, rather than me and 1 or 2 other people, but multiple people at the same time. And so next year, starting in the fall, so like I said, I'll be moving back to Oxford, so that means that a lot of my interviews and people that I talk to and shows that I'll do will be in Oxford. So I'm excited to have the home base for the podcast be up there. It's a wonderful town. So I'm excited to get back up there again, especially with the new, era of the podcast and the lunch hour and all that sort of stuff, and how it's improved so much recently. And I'm just really excited to take the show to a city like that, where there is just so much going on all the time. But yeah, I'm very excited about that. But I have been moving a lot around in college, a lot. I've always kind of done that ever since I was a kid. Growing up, I went to a lot of schools, not a lot, but every couple years or so I would change and go to a new school. So what I'm doing right now is really no different for me. Kind of used to the whole moving around thing, which is a good thing, I guess, for, future and jobs and stuff like that. If I have to move away, it really won't be that big of a problem for me. But yeah, I'm excited about that. But as far as, moving around in colleges and stuff like that, I feel like that you don't really see that kind of thing happening a whole lot with people moving as much as I have, at least. And I think I just haven't really grounded myself in a place yet. But I'm, still trying to see what's good in other places and all that sort of stuff. I'm just, I'm still dipping my toes in the water, still trying to figure out, everything in my life and, jobs and career path and all that sort of stuff. Obviously, I really want to elevate the show, the podcast, really want to make it a kind of a big thing moving forward in the next couple of years. And that all is thanks to you guys, people who watch the show, who tune in whenever I upload. I know it's not the most consistent uploading schedule, but if you take time and watch the shows and like and comment and all that stuff, thank you very much. That is, a real reason on why I do these shows, and having and hearing other people's, gratitude about the show has been really cool to see. So thank everybody who has been supporting the show, showing love in any way possible, whether it's, like I said, liking or subscribing or messaging me personally. That is really awesome, and I'm really appreciative to everybody who's been watching the show. So one thing that actually just came to my mind that I wanted to talk about. So if you follow me on Instagram, I posted a picture of my weight loss, which is something that I've never really talked about on here before. So I'll kind of get into that right now. So as you can tell, I'm kind of a big guy. I always have been my whole life. I've been on the bigger side. I think that's just genetics in my family. A lot of people in my family are like that. And so I didn't really think it was a big deal back in the day. I didn't really think it was a big issue, especially as a kid, when that's the last thing you're worrying about, is your body and all that sort of stuff. So I didn't really worry about it. And obviously, like I said, as a kid, I wasn't really paying attention to what was going on. And it just started to progress every year. I would notice that, certain pants that fit me a year ago don't fit me anymore. Shirts that I used to fit into too small for me. I noticed that my clothes started to shrink, and I started to get bigger. So I just had to keep buying bigger sizes. A lot of those, like I said, I really wasn't paying attention. To what was going on. Just a lot and lots of, just eating. And I think how food was for me when I was a kid, it just kind of, I guess it kind of was like a comfort thing for me. It kind of helped me feel better throughout the day, regardless of what kind of day I was having. If mom was making this certain dish tonight, or if we were going to get something, that night, it just instantly made, everything better for me. And that's how it was for a long time. When I was, eating, continuing to put on weight, and I would try to take it off, try to take the weight off, working out again. And I would go through these phases of where I would lose weight and then I would put it back on. And that would just become a cycle. One summer I would lose a bunch of weight and then the next summer I would put it all back on. So it was a cycle that I didn't really notice that I was putting myself into. Like I said, I was just not really focused on that type of stuff. I was just going on with my day, I was just eating the food that was put in front of me. Didn't really pay close attention to how it was affecting me, how it was affecting my health. And so that kept on for a while, the cycle of losing and gaining weight. That became a very regular thing for me. And I've noticed, especially in pictures, older pictures, so when I'm around, my friends or my family and they start, we start looking at old pictures of myself, I can't really, it's not like really, it's hard for me to kind of look at those pictures because of, the kind of person and man that I am now. It's just not this. It's just not. I know it's like corny, whatever, but it's just not the same. The way I thought, the way I acted, how I treated people, all that is just, it's not the same of what it once was. And one thing that I noticed now about myself then is that I never took care of myself, as pictures and evidence shows that I really didn't put a whole lot of effort into myself, especially, as I got older and I got into the high school years when I could kind of just do whatever, and high school was always a fun time. But like I said, that was a hard time for me because I just was really, really focusing on having fun and going to parties and all that sort of stuff. I still do those things, but there's a limit to it. But and the weight just continued to come on as I kept getting older. It just got worse and worse and worse, and eventually the biggest I ever was, or from what I can recall, was around 350 pounds. That is the most that I've ever weighed before in my entire life, and it was scary. It was scary as shit for me, at least. And I don't like, worrying my mother or my father or anything like that, but then that whole thing, with them kind of worrying about me started to set in. I said in my description is that I don't really have a really good excuse on why I got that big, on why I was just continuing to put on weight and just gorge and eat like shit all the time. And I can't tell you why. I can't. I don't really have an excuse for it. I don't have an excuse, and that's all right. But, and that continued all throughout high school. I didn't really go on any vigorous weight loss journey in high school. I wasn't really focused on it at the time. So during high school, I didn't focus on, losing weight and all that stuff. I was focused on partying, football games, all the stuff that normal high school kids are supposed to do. And it was, I believe, when I really started this whole journey was probably right after I graduated, I think. Because I use a lot of my old high school graduation pictures, as kind of before and after, because of what I looked like, because of how, big my face was. And, hair was super long, had a really shitty, beard, and I just didn't take care of myself at all. And so it was the summer of, of going into my freshman year of college is kind of when I was like, okay, I'm going to really, put my foot down and kind of start, getting my foot in the door when it comes to losing weight. And so then that summer, I got with a trainer, and he gave me, well, the story about the trainer is that he's a great guy. But I was just very, confused about what he was doing from me. I thought that I was going to be, doing one-on-one workout sessions with him, and then he gives me the meals to eat, which he gave me workout, which is basically the same thing. But, the thought of a personal trainer is to do one-on-one personal training sessions. And I never did that. And so then I had to do like meal prepping. And for people out there who meal prep and like are really good at meal prepping, I envy you, because I think with enough discipline I probably could, but I cannot meal prep, man. It is just like, it is so extremely difficult for me, at least. Having to eat the same thing, every single day and have it all planned out and all that sort of stuff. It just was something that I tried so hard to do it, but I could not. So to those of you out there who meal plan and who are very strict about your meal planning, congratulations. I tip my hat to you, man. It's impressive. I find it impressive because I can't do it. So how I started my meal prep was I had the ground, turkey, the ground meat, the lean beef, and I would mix it with spinach and stuff, which is good. It's great. It's good because it's good for you and it tastes well. So, and I just I worked in the summer, so I'd have to bring, especially when I worked at a place where I knew I could cook my own food. I had to bring, it in a Tupperware box, keep it in the fridge, and that's kind of how I ate for a while. And then, a couple weeks into it, I just told my family, I go, I'm just sick at this, I just cannot do this. And so I just really thought about it more, and I go, well, what if, so long story short, I ended up not being with that trainer anymore. He just wasn't really, he was a great guy, but he just wasn't really very helpful for me. So I ended up not being with him anymore, and I just told myself, I go, well, what if I just watch what I eat and actually pay attention to what's in it, and, cut back on the intake and maybe cut back on the portions of it. And that's been my mentality ever since. I'm not on some vigorous, diet, I'm not, burning 3,000 calories a day to consume that amount. I'm just really being very observant of what's being put in front of me and how much is being put in front of me. And I think that that's a good piece of advice for other people who are, wanting to lose weight and something like that. It's definitely, it's different for other people. It's different for other people. People probably can't do, what I'm doing. They have to be on a strict diet or whatever, and that's fine. I've tried diets. I've tried keto. I've tried intermittent fasting, which I still do, kind of, just because the medicine that I take, it doesn't really allow me to eat a whole lot. But I tried keto, intermittent fasting, like high protein, low carb. I've tried all of them, and it just, nothing really seemed to work. Having like a strict schedule on when to eat, eat at this certain time, stop eating at this certain time, which typically I don't really eat anything after, 8, 9 o'clock. But, and to me, the biggest part that played into my weight loss journey was discipline. I like to tell myself that I'm extremely disciplined, especially in this aspect, in weight loss. And yeah, it's like I said, it's just about watching what's in front of you and really paying attention to what's in what and how much of it you should eat, like that. So anyways, moving on. So as far as the gym, I started working out when I was in the 8th grade. And so I was like 13, 14. Yeah, I'm 21 now. So I started working out when I was in 8th grade, football workouts, required stuff like that. But other than that, I really didn't go and work out on my own for a long time, especially until probably, because even all throughout high school, I still did workouts with sports, baseball and football. I still worked, so that was considered my workout. So probably not until probably right after that summer. Yeah, probably when everything started is when I really started to consistently go to the gym. And even at that point, at the beginning point, it was really, really hard because at some mornings I would get up and go to the gym. I would get up really early to go to the gym with my freshman roommate, Davis Bennett, who I give a lot of credit to in kind of the kicking off point. So Davis, if you're listening, thank you very much. He kind of helped me get started. We would go to the gym early in the morning before school, but then, even at that point, I still wasn't fully committed to going and working out every day. I still wasn't committed. I still had, times where I would call him and say, I'm not going to go, that sort of stuff. And I just wasn't fully committed, unlike now and how it's been for the past couple of years. Crap, what was it? Yeah. So I really wasn't committed to the gym for a while, up until, like I said, right around May, of when I graduated high school, and I kind of started to get into the rhythm of going to the gym and incorporating it into my daily routine. And as I started to go to the gym more and more often, I slowly started to see results and slowly started to notice that, hey, I'm looking a little smaller this week than I was last week. And those little glimpses of what can happen were all the more reason for me to keep going. To say, oh, well, look how different I look after losing, 5 pounds or 10 pounds. And I go, well, imagine how I would look if I lost 30 pounds, 40, and that just the numbers would kept going up in my head, and I would just keep envisioning myself and what I would look like. And I just decided, well, that is what I need to do. And so one thing that I'm not going to lie about, when I was a sophomore in college, I developed a bad bacterial infection in my stomach, which led to me violently throwing up like 4 times a day. So that contributed a little bit to my weight loss, because I lost, I think currently I'm down like 60 pounds. I think that is like where I'm at right now in terms of total weight loss all the way. Obviously it fluctuates from time to time, depends on what I'm doing and stuff, but and and it's good that, and I love that I'm in a place that I've gotten to do something like this, where this is a really major achievement for me. And other people who have gone through, weight loss journeys can understand and can feel the same way. It's, especially when you've had trouble with your weight your whole life, like I have. And, not to, sound all pitiful, whatever, and say that, but I mean, it's not that I wasn't teased when I was a kid. I was, people, and it's just kids saying kids shit, it doesn't like, hasn't like personally scarred me, whatever. But I mean, even today, even like recent, even though I still get them, not all that, not it's from random people. Like if you follow the Instagram, you follow the lunch hour Instagram. I posted a video of a drive, just happy Thanksgiving video and all that stuff, and there was some comments in there that were a little rude, but it's like I said, and I love them too because it makes me laugh, and I've learned to kind of take stuff like that and just brush it off, because they're just trying to start something, they're just trying to rally you up, so there's really no point in even getting into it because that's just what they want. So I didn't really do that. But yeah, and I use it as a way to help you, especially to motivate you, to keep you going. And I would, at times when I didn't want to go to the gym, or times where I didn't want to get up and go run, I would read those comments and read what people said about me, and say, wow, I cannot wait to show them how everything can change in a matter of just getting up and doing it. And not just with losing weight, but that goes in with a lot of different things, But so back into the story. So it is 2023 now, and I have been on this kind of path, losing weight for, I guess, consistently probably about a year. Probably about a year of consistently going to the gym, eating well. I say well, eating good, not constant crap all the time. Learn to do. And one of my buddies texted me last week, and reached out to me about saying that he wants to lose weight over the summer, and I love that people that do that, when they feel like that they feel comfortable to reach out to me about that sort of thing. And I love people asking me about it, about what to do and all that sort of stuff, because if people come to you and they ask you about it, it really makes you believe that, hey, I did do something with this, and people are really starting to notice it. And so my friend who is interested in, shredding down some weight for the summer, it's just simple things, that people kind of overthink and think that it might be a little bit too hard to do, but it's really just about just breaking it down and digesting it as, as what it is. And it's simply just discipline and just really taking action about it, because people say, I'll start the diet tomorrow, or I'll start working out again tomorrow, and and not a whole lot of people really follow through with that. So what you need to do is that it's all just about really taking action and really focusing, and just keep telling yourself over and over again. Me and my roommate Trey, producer Trey, we have been talking about just not really manifestation, but kind of saying things and them kind of being put into fruition, and really seeing them happen in the future, and seeing how cool that is when you talk about something and then seeing it happen is really interesting to see. But like I said, I still am working out. I'm still trying to lose more weight. Obviously I can be thinner. Everybody can, or me especially. um, but most and right now where I'm at, the gym and working out and all that stuff has really just become a part of my daily routine. And I think that goes for other people too, especially when you do it day in and day out, and don't even kill yourself with it. You don't even have to go, 5-7 days a week. If you're just starting it out and you're just trying to get a feel for it, go 4 days a week, go 3 days a week, and don't overdo it. Do what you know you can. Do what you know you can do. Don't try to overdo it. Just pace yourself, and eventually, when you feel comfortable with going 4 days a week, up it to 5 days a week, then 6, then 7. It's all just about being comfortable with what you're doing, because once you get to that point of doing it so much, is that it just becomes a thing that you don't even think about doing. But when you do it, it's like, okay, well, I'm glad I did that. It just becomes detrimental to the journey, into doing it. And I don't really like to flaunt, but I'm impressed with myself. I'm impressed with just how everything has changed for me over the past couple years, mentally and physically, just how my mind is and where I'm at mentally. And it's sharp mind is a sharp body. It's a good quote. So I'm really just focusing a lot on me right now and trying to figure out what can I do to, play my part in the world. And one of my favorite things is doing this, coming on here, talking to you guys, expressing myself. And that's kind of what I want to do, to kind of leave, is that I want to make sure that people understand, and that people understand me, and that I'm open. I don't really like to hide a whole lot. I'm an open person, especially on here with you guys. And that's one of the main reasons why I'm sitting here today, why I'm expressing, this journey that I'm on, this physical and mental journey on just repairing and bettering myself. A lot of just been doing a lot of that recently. I'm reading books now, which is gonna sound crazy to a lot of my friends. I'll show you. So right now I am reading Book of the Five Rings. It is, I bought it on Sunday, and I'm already like 75 to like 80. I'm almost done with the book, pretty much. And I'm impressed. And that right there, just little things like that you notice that you don't do, but you now are doing. It makes sense. So this book that I'm reading, The Five Rings. So it was written by an old Japanese samurai named Miyamoto Musashi. He is considered to be one of the greatest swordsmen to ever live. He defeated 62 guys in combat with swords. He never lost. And he wrote a book about strategy, and strategies that not only did he use in combat, but it's strategies that you can also use in your life. And it's breaking up into they're called scrolls. the chapters are breaking. They're called scrolls, and it's the ground, water, fire, wind, and emptiness. Which apparently emptiness is the most important one, which I'm not there yet. But once I finish the book, I'm definitely going to come back on here and talk about it. But yeah, I'm in the middle of reading it right now, and it is and I'm not even done with it yet, and it's one of the best kind of books I've ever read. I've never really been a big reader a lot. If you're one of my friends, you understand that. I don't really necessarily read a whole lot, and people make fun of me sometimes because I don't read. But it's I recommend people to read this book, especially if you feel kind of like lost and you kind of want to figure out, how to make yourself better. I would recommend reading The Five Rings. It's strategy. You can even learn about, combat. You can learn about protecting yourself, defending yourself. It talks about how if you learn to defeat 10 men by yourself, you can defeat 1,000 men with 100 men, and so on and so forth. The main kind of quote that goes into the book is, once you see the way broadly, you can see it in all things. So once you see it one way, you can see it all over. And it's just a really, really interesting story, a really interesting book. And he wrote it, I think, back in like the 1600s. So it's been translated, since I can't read Japanese, obviously. But it is something that I've really enjoyed. And I think I'm going to get into The Art of War next. And I think I might just do like a dive into all those type of books, like, I guess you can call them like personal development books. And those types of things, because I'm curious about what other people have to say about this sort of topic, on personal health and bettering yourself and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, Five Rings, definitely, it's a quick, easy read. Like I said, I don't read like that much at all. I read tweets and I read articles on ESPN. Like that's pretty much it. I don't really read a whole lot of books. And this book for me, a while ago, would be considered too big of a book. And now I bought it on Sunday. Today is Tuesday, and I'm almost done with it. So that just shows you, how good it is and how really interested in it I am. But yeah. So I'm going to take a minute, and I'm going to look and see if anyone's left any responses on the Instagram. Hey, Win, I'd love to have you on the podcast since you're a super cool, awesome guy, and I love you. That is my friend Win Crosby. He's a wonderful person. Win, I will have you on the podcast one day. We'll talk baseball. Definitely will do that. Look into the NHL lottery and how it could be rigged. Seems like it happened yesterday. NHL lottery. Okay. That was sent by Nikki Spades, who, if you have watched the show before, he is he's a previous guest on the show. And he wants me to read about the NHL lottery. So this one says, NFL draft lottery blasted as rigged after host appears to announce pick early with Connor Bedard's future at stake. So slamming the NHL draft lottery as rigged after the Chicago Blackhawks won the right to select Connor Bedard with the number 1 overall pick. So I am not too familiar with hockey. I do enjoy watching it, though. I enjoy watching it. I don't have a team. If I did have a team, it'd probably be the Toronto Maple Leafs. But that's pretty much... I don't know a whole lot about hockey, but this is interesting because sports fans often say that certain games and stuff are rigged. Like last season, the whole thing about the NFL script was a huge deal. Then you got the whole thing with like boxing fights being rigged and all that sort of stuff. So NHL draft. So the Columbus Blue Jackets were announced to have drawn the number 3 pick before the cards flipped. So the Chicago Blackhawks won the lottery despite having the 3rd highest odds at number 1. Wow. That's interesting. Yeah, why not? Okay. All right. So this is, I'm sorry, I just had a little connection thing, so hopefully that whole like oh god, I'm hoping this works. I think it will, so I'm just going to get back into continuing what I was talking about. So I was talking about the NHL draft lottery being rigged. God, my whole mood has changed. I'm sorry. I'm stressing out because it just completely booted me off the old studio I had set up. So hopefully it saved everything. I think it did, but I'm worried now because that was a lot of stuff I talked about. So hopefully it stays. Okay, so the NHL draft lottery being rigged. Yeah, sure. Why not? I know I said that I don't really pay attention to the NHL, but I'm trying to find stuff to how I can understand. I'm sorry. My mind is thrown all over the place now. Yeah, I think so. I think it could be rigged. It seems like it. I'd have to do a little bit more research into it. But yeah, of course, it can be rigged. The whole thing about stuff being rigged is a very interesting topic to talk about. I talked about this before on the show. I talked about the NFL being scripted. But that's games, so that's a whole different ordeal than a whole draft lottery being rigged. Now that makes a little bit more sense. Nobody would really suspect that, but yeah, sure. I could totally see the NHL draft lottery being rigged. Hey, if you're watching this and if you're a devoted hockey fan, leave a comment on if I should start watching hockey, because I feel like it could be interesting. There's fights. I'm a huge fighter. I'm a big fight guy, so maybe I can get into it. I don't know. So one thing that I have written on here that I've really been wanting to talk about is I recently finished Game of Thrones. I know I'm late. I know I'm about 4 years late. But I finally finished Game of Thrones about 2 weeks ago. I want to say, yeah, probably about 2 weeks ago. And I understand now why everybody talks about that show so much. It's great. I mean, there's really, if you've seen the show, I will talk. I mean, yeah, okay. So it's great. It's spectacular. I'm very happy that I have watched that show, and I wish that I got to watch it, while it was coming out, because I know how big of a deal that was. Which, funny enough, I actually watched House of the Dragon when it came out, or not when it came out, but like a few weeks after, I guess after it had already been finished, and I watched House of the Dragon after the show was finished. The first season was finished. Which, I mean, technically I watched it in the right order. It's a prequel, so, and I loved House of the Dragon, and I don't. And even after I finished House of the Dragon, I didn't get directly into Game of Thrones. And I don't know. But for some reason, so I'm a big TV show guy. I don't watch a whole lot of shows, but I've seen a lot of a lot of the good ones. The good ones. The one that I'm watching right now is Barry, and Barry is unfreaking believable. My most recommended show right now to anybody who hasn't seen it would be Barry. So if anybody asked me for a show to recommend, Barry. It is really good. It's still going on right now. They're coming out with episodes like every Sunday. But yeah, Game of Thrones. So what I loved about Game of Thrones is that I just had an attachment to like so many characters. I loved like everybody in the show, except for a few. But you know, I really, really, really enjoyed Game of Thrones, like really much. And now, and so I made a list about my favorite TV shows. I did this on Twitter, but I'm gonna say it on here. But one of them is different. But so here's my list of shows like that. My favorite shows that I've seen. So at number 1, my favorite show of all time is The Sopranos. I finished The Sopranos. I want to say like 2 or 3 months ago. Like I finished, or maybe like last year. I know I finished it somewhat recently, and I loved it. It's just like really, if you've seen it, you know it's there's really a whole lot to say about Sopranos, but I'm not going to say a whole lot just because there's people who are watching haven't seen it, like Trey, who hasn't watched it, so I'm not going to spoil anything on here for him. But and then my second show, and I hated that I had to move my original number 2 down to 3, but I had to put Game of Thrones at second, and simply because I have never been that invested into a show before. I've never been invested that into a show. Like I would spend days and nights I had it on all the time. Every single day I had it on. All night I would have it on. I never turned it off. And so I finished it relatively quickly. Which was something that a lot of my friends were surprised about. But I have never binged a show like Game of Thrones before. Because once I really got into it, like I said, I could not stop. I could not. And so my number 3, and like I said, I don't even like it that it's at number 3, but Breaking Bad. Now, Breaking Bad originally used to be my number 1, but that was before I watched Sopranos and Game of Thrones. So I hate, and people are going to probably come at me. My friends who are diehard Breaking Bad fans are going to come at me for putting Breaking Bad down at 3rd. I don't have any problem with Breaking Bad at all. I think it's one of the best shows to ever come out on television. It's one of the most popular shows of all time. But with Breaking Bad is what's different about Breaking Bad and Game of Thrones, Sopranos, is that how much I really cared about all of the characters in Game of Thrones and Sopranos. Breaking Bad, obviously, there's a lot of characters in Breaking Bad, but if you've seen the show, the good ones you want to keep around, the bad ones you want to get rid of, and the bad ones often got rid of. So, man, it's just Breaking Bad. I don't know. I hate that it's at 3rd. Like I said, I hate that it's down there. But just with how Game of Thrones and Sopranos kind of affected me, it's just far different than what Breaking Bad did. Maybe I need to go back and rewatch Breaking Bad all the way through again, because I feel like it would maybe affect the standing if I go back and rewatch Breaking Bad all the way through. But no hate to Breaking Bad at all. I literally have got nothing bad to say about it. But Game of Thrones, Sopranos, and Breaking Bad for me could obviously be a 3-way tie, but I'm not going to be that kind of person. So I have them 1, 2, and 3. So number 4, this is just strictly based off of, it is probably the television show that kind of got me into like this kind of television, Walking Dead. And people might have some things to say about that too, but this is just based on my personal liking. And Walking Dead is a show that I have been watching probably since I was around 13 years old, when like season 4 or 5 was airing on TV. It was probably when I started watching it. And I would tune in every week and watch it. But then I fell out of touch with it for a while. Excuse me. Oh, sorry. I fell out of touch with Walking Dead for a while. And I don't know why. I think I might have gotten bored with it, but not every single season of that show is, a certified banger, but all of them are relatively good. Especially when you've been into the show as long as I have, when you really are into the characters. It's a great show. I love it, and I watched the show finale on TV, on live television, and it was spectacular, and I'm really excited to see how they're gonna branch off and do the spinoffs, like the one with Negan and Maggie in New York, and then Rick in Philadelphia and Daryl in Paris, which is crazy, but and then for number 5, I felt like I could have put a lot of shows at number 5, but I put Barry, and it's not even done yet, but I think based on just the directing, the acting in that show is unbelievable. Bill Hader is outdoes everything in the show. Bill Hader's known for being like a funny comedy type guy, but then you see him play Barry, and it's just completely different from what we're used to seeing Bill Hader be. And I loved it. It was awesome. It really was. And it's still going on. I watched the episode yesterday. So there's like 3 episodes left of the show, and then it'll be done. So I still have got tons of shows on my list I need to watch, like The Wire, which I've heard is incredible. What else? White Lotus. I'm taking a break from that. I finished season 1. I liked it, but it was entertaining, but I literally watched it like right after I finished Game of Thrones, so it was kind of weird to go from Game of Thrones to that. So I'm taking a little break before I start season 2 of White Lotus. But there's a lot of stuff that I really want to watch. I'll get there eventually, and I'll keep uploading y'all with progress. Yeah, man, that's about all I have. Like I said, I just wanted to come on here and just make some content and make sure y'all could see me. I didn't bring out my camera, but this is just as good. But yeah, thank y'all for watching. If you want to see more of these of me just kind of sitting down talking to y'all, let me know, and I'll start doing them more. But yeah, thank y'all so much for watching. It means the world to me when y'all show me love and like showing support to the channel and to myself. But yeah, thank y'all very much. Make sure to continuing to keep liking, subscribing, commenting, sharing, all that stuff. And I will see you guys on the next podcast. Peace.
The Lunch Hour.